Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. Today I want to get into a question from the community. This is a comment or a question dropped on one of my recent videos, and it's kind of a spicy one. So this might get a little heated, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, guys. When we get into these moments where somebody has a different point of view, it's really important that we push back on one another so that we can find the truth, right? So we're not trying to just pat ourselves on the back and assume what we know to be true. We're trying to challenge the people who challenge us so that we can grow from that experience. And this is going to be one of those conversations. If that sounds interesting, stick around, stay tuned, like and subscribe. So I was checking out my comments section from my members of the channel. So what that means is certain people support my channel financially on a monthly basis, and they are my members, and they get certain perks and benefits, including increased access to my content, as well as possibly even me. Every Thursday night we do a live event where they are invited and no one else, and so they can drive the conversation and the content in those 1 hour sessions. They're usually 1.5-ish hours, and so I try to prioritize their comments also. And so in this one comment series, when I was responding to all my member comments, I saw that Cam had dropped a comment, and he was referring to a recent video where we talked about SPS. In that video, I did my best to articulate all of the considerations for why SPS is deeply meaningful and important, and why you don't have enough of it. And I think that's a great video for probably everybody brand new to the game, been here for a while. That's that video you're going to want to watch. Let's talk about SPS. Now, Cam dropped a comment saying, "Oh, that's great. Now I'm preparing to read all the comments about how this is yet another move to favor the whales and screw the little guy." So obviously Cam's feeling spicy about maybe some of the comments that he's received or that people have dropped on some of my videos. And I guess he was getting in front of this one, going to war for it. So, but lots of love. Cam got six thumbs ups on that one, including me. And then here's why I brought it up though, because Dennis dropped a comment that I thought is going to be maybe part of that heart, or maybe something that I want to push back on, and possibly he's attempting to kind of help me see a different angle. So let's unpack it. Dennis said, "I don't care about all the updates in favor of a few big fish, but what seriously concerns me is lack of newcomers and dolphins, because whales literally feed from smaller guys. We need far bigger players base to revive the market and keep the game alive, because amounts of cards and other resources grow up much faster every day than the amount of active players. So it would be a good idea for developers to drop some kind of bait from time to time to attract smaller fish." This is an interesting comment, and I don't necessarily disagree entirely with what he's saying. And I was about to reply just a written comment, but this to me feels like something the community needs to hear. I was going to say, look, I agree that more players would be better. And that is not a small agreement. That's a huge point of agreement. We are seeing eye to eye on the fact that the more new players that come to a Splinterlands or any game, especially a blockchain-based video game where investment is, let's say, welcome and possibly needed. Like, I'm not sure needed is the word I want to use there, but welcome is for sure, definitely, it's welcome. And if that's the game, Splinterlands, first of all, is one of those games. And if that's the game you're into, then of course you want new people to come in and be invested and have a financial interest in growing in this ecosystem. That would benefit all of us. And I agree with you. That's so true. And let's look to create ways that we draw people in, not from a tricked you position, not from a baited you position, but from a position of, we want to add value to your day, and we want you to actually play this game, 1, out of enjoyment, and 2, out of a perceived opportunity. And so I agree in principle with the idea that we want to grow the team, the community, and the more we do, the better off we all will be. That is so true, and it's a point well made. But I take huge issue with the second part of the thought, which is, first of all, that whales literally feed on smaller guys. And I think this has got to be the core of the rest of this conversation, because this is often a point of view that I hear. And I think it's essentially the point of view that Cam or in the first comment I read from Cam earlier in this video, he was getting ahead of, he's saying people complain that the game favors the whales and the little guy gets screwed. That's what he said. And Cam was getting in front of this idea because this is such a prevalent critique from a fairly loud and I think minority of people who play Splinterlands. And so Dennis, not trying to hate, hope this doesn't come out, I want you to hear me when I say that I really do I'm glad you dropped the comment and I want to engage the content of your comment. So this is not intended to roast, but I do think you're mistaken about that. Why? Because I don't think that this game is antagonistic. When I win the game, first of all, as a whale, I'm probably not playing you. When I play the game, I'm likely not playing you. And so whales likely aren't playing you also. That means like anybody 2 million, 3 million, 5 million power, they're not going to be playing your account with 100,000, 200,000, even 500,000 power. Not very often, maybe once in a while. And so literally the whale is not competing against you. But even in those moments where you do run up against somebody with a significant deck who has been here for years and they beat you, maybe with one of their alt accounts, which is certainly possible, they aren't stealing or feeding on the little guy, even in that context of a battle. And there's other contexts we need to explore too, like, the rental market or, the card ownership market or packs or whatever. Or there's tons of ways people complain that the little guy's getting screwed and the big guy's getting benefits. But let's just focus on this one battle thing first and foremost. When I beat you, that's two competitors on the battlefield and one wins. Now you have an equal opportunity to have cards that you want to invest in. These cards didn't come free to me. They didn't come free to the other whales in the game. We invested in the game and we acquired the deck through time and attention and through investment. And if you do the same thing, then you will compete with us. Period, full stop. And now I can hear a response from the audience saying, yeah, but you were here when the cards were cheap and it was such an unfair advantage because now, like, hey guys, myself and people like me who have millions and millions of power, we were here when this game was not being played by tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people. We were here when there was like literally dozens of people playing. And we were investing at a time when the risk was more substantial. And so you can't say this whole if there's any idea that, new people have a harder time getting started because the costs have gone up to get a really substantial deck. Wrong, big wrong, red flag, stop right there. It's totally night and day different because we new people who played 3 years ago started this game and invested real financial wealth at a time when there was no certainty that this game would succeed. And so the risk portfolio or the risk perspective of the game at that moment was way, way worse than it is today. And so while the costs have gone up for certain cards, especially older cards, one, you don't need those older cards. Two, you can play in the modern format if you want. Three, even if the cost of those cards have gone up, and they haven't dramatically, I can tell you that those new Chaos Legion cards are roughly the same low value, USD value, that I used to pay for the cheapest cards back 3-4 years ago. And so it's just wrong that you can't get a deck for cheap. It's also wrong that you have to compete against the whales. It's also wrong the whales are beating you directly to steal, quote unquote, literally feed on the smaller guy. Now, there are other ways that I want to be fair. There are other ways that whales like myself could be, quote unquote, feeding on the little guy. You might say that we own a lot of more cards than you. We bought packs when, we got packs and therefore airdrops at a different time. And we have so many more cards than you, and we rent them to you, and that's what we profit off of your presence here as a whale or a dolphin. Maybe you're renting my cards on the marketplace, and in that way you're benefiting me. That's certainly possible. Does that mean that we are, quote unquote, feeding on you, or does it actually mean that you're feeding on us? We were here again, guys. You every time these comments come up, you need to take a step back and recognize that anybody who has the sort of deck that, my Infidel 1258 account has, or any of your favorite YouTubers have, we developed those at a time when this game was the risk of investing here was so dramatically different, and so the disproportionate return has been delivered for that investment. So that's got to be the ground foundation of where the conversation begins. And I think if you start there, and that will do two things. One, it'll start to chip away at this idea that we are unfairly advantaged by the having been here for many, many years, and actually point us to the fact that we are actually fairly advantaged, actually justifiably benefited, because we have invested in a time when the game was its future was uncertain and its development was not secure. And that investment, that presence, that time and attention, that money actually helped make the game get to this place. So it makes perfect sense that the developers would then pour in a variety of ways to us as holders, whether it's the SPS airdrop and rewarding us for holding cards, or whether it's later on, how SPS is translated into vouchers, or any number of variety of things, presence in guilds, and how those guilds will be likely more developed than your guilds, and how those guilds are going to provide SPS payouts. There's a million ways that we get rewarded as whales. And so you're right. Whales benefit disproportionately than dolphins or than minnows. But that's not a point of criticism. That's actually an amazing thing that even the person who starts today should be throwing their hands up in celebration over. Why? Because one day you'll be an OG. If you start today, August 14, 2022, if you start today is your first day, and you are here investing time and attention, and yes, some amount of money, you will see returns, and they'll seem trivial in nature at first, and they will snowball and accumulate. And as time goes by, those rewards, which were trivial in nature, are going to appreciate due to their deflationary nature. I'm talking the non-fungible token cards that you're getting every day from your daily loot chests and your season rewards. They're going to appreciate due to their deflationary nature. And at one point, you're going to be astonished by how much value you've accumulated from playing and investing in this game just with trivial time and attention, just enjoying the game and just putting a few dollars here and there, or putting back some of the DEC or SPS you earn into the game and rolling it over. That's going to grow in a massive way, and you'll be surprised. I feel super confident about that. I've seen it happen, and I believe it'll happen again. And so it's so important that you guys hear this message. This is the last thing I want to say. When you guys express a concern that the whales have to feed on the little guys, I don't think that's true. I think in some ways we created a system and we supported a system so that it would grow to a place where new people could come in and have a thriving economy with a lot more security. And so it's not that the whales are feeding on the little guys. It's actually the other way around. And if you're paying me rent for my cards, that's a benefit to you, so you can extract rewards from an ecosystem that has begun and that has thrived due to the work that people and the time and attention that people like myself have poured into this. And I don't say this out of, bravado or of boasting or some sort of like comment on, what I've done. It's literally anybody who was here, not because we're special, but because we stepped in at a moment and committed to a thing, have helped it get to where it is now. And now we all benefit today also. And we're going to continue to benefit so long as two things are true: that this game is, one, fun, and two, that it has a future. I think those things are true. It is fun and it does have a future. And therefore, new people should be amazed and overjoyed that quote unquote whales or OGs or people who have been here forever and have huge decks are being supported and encouraged and rewarded in a manner that incentivizes us to stay. Because one, you don't want us to sell on your heads. Two, you want to be one of these whales or these OGs one day, and you want to be inside an ecosystem and a game that supports those players because you're going to be one. And so keep investing your time and attention, keep renting a few cards here and there and grinding from whether it's bronze or silver or whatever. You're going to see rewards, and they will seem trivial, but they will absolutely appreciate in a meaningful way across a long enough time horizon. And that's the thing. It's not adversarial. It's actually this game is so brilliant in its ability to reward investment and time and attention. And you can start that process of accumulation today, and you will one day be that OG. And new people in 3-4 years will be pointing to you and saying, wow, these guys sure had it easy. Wrong. You didn't. You've been investing now for probably, if you've been here since, let's say, most of you are here since August of last year. That was when the real boom started. That's when prices went wild. And ever since then, it's been a huge decline. You guys are turning into grizzled veterans that are surviving a bear market. And those of you that make it, who actually participate in this thing from now till next bull run, are going to be the new OGs that everybody points to and says, look what these guys, like, oh, these guys are getting all the benefits, free SPS and free soccer tokens and free NFTs and free whatever. But it's not free. And you'll know that then, because you will have, through that, at that moment in time, 2, 3, 4 years in the future, you will have fought your way and patiently attended to this game and what you're doing here in a manner that has allowed you to accumulate meaningfully. And that effort and attention will be rewarded. That's what you're describing right now. It's not that the game overemphasizes the OGs. It's actually the game rightly recognizes that the people who put the most time and attention at the most risky time should be honored and appreciated. And as long as that is the kind of the MO of the developers, we should all be grateful, because each one of us, every day that passes, is going deeper and deeper into that status of OG. And so whales don't feed on little guys, but we as a community, this is actually not, this is so key. This game is not adversarial, even though it's one person versus one person. It's actually, you can win and I can win. We're just on a different journey. I might be winning at champion, you might be winning at bronze, but each of them represents an opportunity. Maybe one of those opportunities is greater than the other, but one of those opportunities required more financial investment and risk and time and attention. So therefore, disproportionate rewards will be paid. It's key that you guys recognize that. And I don't say this out of bravado or bragging or anything like that. This is just in my attempt to try and explain and to speak to this view that the new guy is kind of getting screwed or not being incentivized properly, because wow, guys, you are getting way more rewards than anybody did months ago, weeks ago, years ago. Way more rewards, way more loot chests at bronze, way more cards at bronze, way more DC at bronze, at silver, at gold, at diamond than ever before. Is it true that the champions and the diamond level players are getting more rewards also? It is. But again, it is not a disproportionate thing. The new guys are getting rewarded. The old guys are getting rewarded. The question is, are you pouring into the system by reinvesting that value so that you can make that snowball grow so that you can one day be the OG? Or are you just kind of hoping that you'll get some sort of quick little return, some quote unquote bait to draw you in that you can grab at and then run with? That's the big question. I don't think that's your heart, Dennis. But I really need to say that that's where I see some of these comments coming from. And I think it's so important. If there's one thing I really value in this game and in this space, it's recognizing that your time and attention is worth something. And this game rewards that. If you are committed to pouring into that, then I truly believe you're going to see significant, possibly life-changing opportunity come out of that. So, big, long conversation from one kind of quick comment. Dennis, lots of love, my dude. Totally appreciate the comment. It's so important when people disagree that they share those ideas so that the community can learn from conversations like this. And hopefully I've shared some insight from a different perspective that might, I guess, help you grow and just continue to be excited about where we're headed. Because I think this game's going somewhere very special. Okay, guys, thank you so much for your time and attention. Have an amazing day. God bless.